Hi, I'm Russ Keith. I will tell you a story about setting goals. A lot of you know, some of you may not. I was a high school principal for a while as part of my 23-year teaching career. When I first started teaching, I was teaching automotive technology. And one thing about teaching automotive technology is you don't have to have a degree. And I didn't have one. When I graduated from high school in 1981, I knew I needed to go to college, or at least, that's what I was told. All my life. And so I went, but I really didn't have an idea of what I was going to do or where I was going to go or where I was going to wind up or any of that stuff. So I just kept going to school and kept going to school and kept going to school. Next thing you know, it's, like 16 years later and still kind of going to school. My mother-in-law, she was dating a retired middle school principal. And she really wanted to get into teaching business at the high school level. And so he came over and they were talking about it, and he made a comment that you didn't have to have a degree in order to teach automotive technology. And I was like, really? And so my mother-in-law decided that we were both going to do it. We're going to go back to school and get our teaching certificates. Of course, she had to have a degree, and I didn't for what I was going to do. So we went up to University of North Texas in Denton. The last day of registration and started the entire process. And we literally ran from station to station, which was spread out across this campus, right? That first semester went really, really well for me. In long about February, this was in 1995, February came along and I got a call to come to the dean's office. And so I went into the dean's office thinking, what did I do, right? And so who gets called to the dean's office in college? And they said, well, you're automotive, right? And I said, yes. I said, well, there's an immediate opening at a school district there in Dallas, and if you're interested, you should go apply. So I did, and I wound up getting that job. So I started teaching automotive technology at R.L. Turner High School there in Carrollton Farmers Branch. The second year I got into coaching high school softball. I was the assistant coach for the varsity softball team, and I did that for a few years, and I really enjoyed that. Well, after about a couple of years of teaching, I decided what I really wanted to do was become a high school principal. So I did a little research, and I sat down and I figured out what I needed to do in order to become a high school principal, and I wrote it down. Looking at the criteria, one of the things I had to have was a master's degree in education. Well, what do you got to do to get a master's degree in education? Well, first you have to have a bachelor's degree. So I had plenty of hours to have a bachelor's degree, but they weren't in the right things because I never really had any really good direction. So I just basically took classes knowing that I needed to. Hopefully one day I'd get the inspiration as to what I wanted to do, so I knew which classes to take to graduate, right? And that's exactly what happened. I got to check that off my list of things I needed to do when I graduated with my bachelor's degree. Another thing that I did was immediately start into my master's degree. I graduated high school in 1981. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in 1999. I know it was 18 years, right? You laugh, but I did graduate high school and college in the same century. The end of my first summer session, I took 6 hours the first session and 6 hours the second session. I had the 12 hours that I needed. It just so happens there became an opening, well, several of the schools really. I applied for the assistant principal job, 2 high schools and a few middle schools. And as it turned out, when I got called into the assistant superintendent's office, who's in charge of personnel for the school districts, said, well, congratulations, Russ. You're the top choice for all 6 jobs. Which one do you want? And so I was able to stay at R.L. Turner High School, which was a place that I dearly loved. Now, obviously, the goal was to become a high school principal. And I had set out a plan to do that 5 years from the date that I graduated from my bachelor's degree with my degree in business. And as it turned out, I wound up getting that principal job 1 year early. So I actually did it in 4 years instead of 5 years. I went to a school that needed a lot of help. They hadn't ever met their annual yearly progress, or AYP, with the No Child Left Behind. And really they were in serious trouble of being taken over by the state. So I knew it was going to be quite a bit of a challenge when I took that job. If you know me, I'm up for a good challenge. So I took the job, went to work. I wound up working 78 hours a week. I laid out a plan that I had to go down to Austin, the TEA, Texas Education Administration, and explain to them exactly what it is I was going to do, how I was going to do it, and all this other ancillary information that they needed. And then came back and just went to work, working with the teachers, and we had a huge turnover that year. I wound up hiring quite a few new teachers. We just sat down with a plan, and really the issue was in the math department. I had one seasoned teacher, a good teacher, did a great job, and he was our math department head. And then everybody else in that department was brand new first-year teacher. Basically instill in them the desire or the need to succeed. They responded well to me. They worked really, really hard that year, and we were able to bring the math scores up dramatically and get the school off of the naughty list, as you might say. But we did meet the AYP for math for the first time since that score or that requirement had ever come out. So I was able to succeed in multiple goals that year, not only to turn the school's math department around, even though I've never taught math before. It's really all about just sitting down, creating a plan, and then taking action and working those plans. That's how I got the job as a principal. It's really how I succeeded in just about everything I've done in my life. We've got more videos coming up, and we'll talk about some of the things that I've done, so kind of stay tuned. Kind of enjoyed giving this little talk about setting goals and taking action, because that's how dreams are made. That's how dreams become reality.